It's really cool to see that on Slack. It just blows up. Everybody's just celebrating. The memes are flying out. It's hilarious. It's wonderful process.
Hey, Christian Graziano, CEO here at Blend. Today I had the opportunity to speak with Cindy Diogo from Wrangle. Cindy gave us some great ideas on how to reintroduce and or re-onboard some of her furloughed staff, as well as how you guys can go ahead and implement some of the policies that they've done. You'll absolutely want to watch it, so stay tuned.
Cindy Diogo, it's so exciting to have you here today. Christian and I have been very much looking forward to it. Thank you for coming.
Yeah, thank you for having me. It's a pleasure.
Thanks, Cindy.
So as a starting point, given you're the head of talent at Wrangle.io, maybe you can give us a snapshot of what's happening at Wrangle and what the company is all about.
We are a digital consultancy, and really what that means is we work with a number of clients, both here within Toronto and globally, to really help them with their digital transformation initiatives. So anything that you can think of within the technology sphere and consulting, we work on.
And it was a few months ago, we were chatting. It feels like a long time ago now, but you introduced us to the idea of re-onboarding. So for the benefit of our audience today, maybe you can share a bit about what re-onboarding means and why you feel it's important.
So re-onboarding is essentially the process of adapting your new hire onboarding processes and strategies when reintegrating employees that may have been on long-term absences, so that in our situation with COVID would have been furloughed employees or temporary leave employees. When you have a new hire, they're really excited and engaged and ready to start. With someone who's been on furlough, there really are mixed feelings and sentiments around coming back. So yes, they are very excited to get back to work, but they've been on furlough. And so you want to get this process right because you want to be able to both reintegrate them with their work, ensure that they're going to be really successful coming back into their position, but also you want to focus on their mental health and reintegrating them and thinking about strategies to ensure that they're feeling welcome.
So Cindy, based on your experience at Wrangle, how has re-onboarding benefited your company as well as your employee base?
So a couple of things. It really has benefited us when we start to think about retention. So in the beginning of COVID, we did start to see a shift towards a higher retention percentage on the negative. So the positive thing that started to happen when we have started to re-engage our furlough employees is that our retention number has started to balance off, which is really positive. It's also started to benefit our culture. So what we started to see during COVID was people were starting to become a bit disengaged, which was natural. We're all working at home. A number of the Wrangle traditions that we had, so our Friday socials, were a little bit hard in the beginning to replicate when everybody's dispersed. So on the positive, we've started to see that our culture and our cultural norms are starting to uptick. So our employees that have been working with us and our employees that we're starting to bring back are re-engaging those traditions and those cultures.
So Cindy, how does your reintegration or re-onboarding effort play into the cultural values at Wrangle?
When we were starting to think about our strategy for re-onboarding, we really focused on first our value of kindness, and kindness really focused on allowing our employees to have the space and time to reintegrate themselves in their own way. So we do have a lot of Wranglers who are parents. So for example, we gave them enough space to figure out their own timelines as well as how much time they needed in between. A lot of us, myself included, do have little ones and children that are school age, and so we adapted a Wrangle Slack channel, for instance, to start to communicate with the Wrangle parents that needed to have accommodations. And so kindness really focused on ensuring that everybody with their own unique circumstances had the enough time and space to reintegrate themselves in the way that they felt was really natural.
So Cindy, like any initiative, I'm sure that there's been lessons learned, specifically with respect to your re-onboarding process. Are there any warnings and or suggestions that you would provide to others that are currently undergoing this?
We've never faced a global pandemic as a society, and so our organization wanted to do everything in the beginning by the book. So the advice that we took from our lawyers was really to be cautious about the amount of communication that you had with your employees on furlough. And so the lesson here is that we wanted to be so cautious that we potentially missed an opportunity to have communication and open dialogue with our employees that were on leave. And so the advice I would give here is, yes, it's one thing to have the strategy and the process down, but you want to take this as a humanistic approach as well. You have employees that are a little bit nervous. We are under uncertain times, and so you want to ensure that you're over communicating with them.
Well, and it's interesting because you talk about communication a little bit there, and I think it's a very reciprocal process, right? So when an employee is coming back and they feel that their employer is kind of holding back information, I would suspect that they're going to do the same to their employer, right? And that creates a pretty awful environment.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's why I think I really feel passionately about this process, because I really do believe it's about the communication and rallying with the employee coming back and just being excited. So we implemented a process where everybody on their team, including their hiring manager, will celebrate them coming back. So whether that's a phone call or whether that's an email, and then similar to what we do on an onboarding, we have a celebration moment on our Slack channels where we celebrate that person, we introduce them into the organization. We're doing the same thing with bringing back our employees. So we have a virtual kind of online celebration to welcome someone back, and then talk about what they're going to be working on. And then we spend some time just on Slack as an organization, just chatting. So it's really cool to see that on Slack. It just blows up. Everybody's just celebrating. The memes are flying out. It's hilarious. It's wonderful process.
So Cindy, when you're not re-onboarding staff and off being a super mom, what is it that you like to do in your spare time?
So full disclosure, I'm learning how to be a DJ. Not professionally, but I have bought the equipment. And I do love hip hop. So I've been trying to do that on my spare time.
Well, thanks for coming today. We really greatly appreciate your time, as does our audience. It's been a pleasure. Thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me. This has been awesome.
What a great chat on how to re-onboard furloughed employees. If you like videos such as these, please subscribe to our channels below. Thanks for watching.